Hey folks. Um, Today what's been coming up for me is a sense of what this commitment to do these posts is all about, and also kind of the way in which I made it. And I was just noticing something about, like I've had a thought for the last couple of days because I was coming up on post number 30. I think today is number 31. And I was, because there was one point when I was considering, well, should I start this process? Should I do a video post every day? And it was like, well, yeah, that sounds interesting. How long? 30 days? 90 days? A year? And I sort of like toyed with a couple different approaches or time periods basically. And then at some point I was like, no, it's got to be a year. It's got to be a year. And I'm not even sure, if I had to give you like tangible, rational reasons for why I knew it had to be a year, I couldn't really do that because I don't know, because I honestly don't know what the reason that a year, why a year kind of came through so strongly. But what I do know is I felt like it needed to be essentially open-ended. In other words, this commitment that I was making was essentially like starting to enter a new normal. And it's only just in thinking about this post that I realized, oh, I also did this last year from my birthday, basically between two birthdays, between my 43rd and 44th birthday. I gave up alcohol. I was like, I'm not going to drink for a year. And I was like, a month wouldn't really be long enough to learn too much from it. I don't drink that much anyway. Like I might only have like 1 or 2 drinks a month. So giving alcohol up for a month doesn't really feel like it changes that much about my life. But going a year definitely meant, I would encounter situations where I would ordinarily drink and then have to say no, have to not do that. And that certainly proved true. I basically went a year, and really there was a handful of times when I kind of was in a situation where it was like, oh, I'm conspicuously not drinking now, or I had to tell people, I'm getting offered a drink and I had to say, no, I'm not drinking right now or whatever. And then 1 year really felt like it was a great length of time in which to get used to it. And of course, then since my 44th birthday, I also haven't touched alcohol. I haven't had another drink. And it wasn't even, for me, giving up alcohol wasn't a big deal. It was more about the practice of really saying no to something that was sometimes habitual. And all I've ever felt literally for that decision is gratitude. I've never regretted it, not once. And that's also why I think at the end of a year, I just was like, okay, great. I don't need to drink. Like, I just don't, again, like I say this to people sometimes. I'm like, I don't know if I'll drink alcohol again in my life. Maybe I will. I probably will. I think I might, but I also might not. Like I don't feel the urge, and I always feel better for not touching it. So anyway, but this post thing is sort of, I just realized, oh, okay, it's the same length of time as I made that commitment for. And what that meant was it was actually a stretch of time where in the middle of it, I wasn't clocking the amount of time that had gone by or that I had left to go. I was just in a new normal. And this post is kind of the same way. Like I think if I had said 30 days, I'd be done by now. If I'd said 90 days, I'd be like, oh, I'm a third done now. As it is, I have 11 months left. That's essentially infinity. That's like I'm going to be doing this forever. And what's really that makes it feel like it's a practice. It's a new practice that I'm just committed to the practice. I'm not trying to hold out until I can stop doing the practice. I'm not trying to make it through the amount of time I've decided on so that I can finally stop or so that I can have accomplished it. I'm just doing it. I've just said I'm going to do it. And it's a long enough time that the timeline is like, I can't see the end of it right now. I'm just doing this every day. And that, I think that what that does is it installs this practice as a new normal, which is exactly kind of what I wanted. It really puts me in the position of every day, show up, find something within myself that wants to come out. There's always something. And furthermore, anybody who's been watching these posts for a couple of days, a couple of weeks has probably seen, like, it's like I'm in a whole new place now. 30 days in, like I feel differently about what the post means. I feel so deeply connected to so much of myself, just because every day I'm showing up and for 5 to 10 minutes talking about something that I'm going through, and these patterns that I'm sort of like looking into in my more contemplative, meditative practices. I show up here and externalize something, and I get a little bit of reflection. People comment, people like the post, people tell me in person that they are really feeling inspired by them or whatever. So it means that there's a whole kind of like crystallization of insight that's happening just because of this every day. And I think that's what I was really going for with this post, and kind of like that's the new normal that I was kind of aiming for. So I guess that's just sort of a testimony to making commitments like this, and also just an affirmation of how it's working out for me. And I think I'm very grateful for it. And again, like, it puts me in contact with all you folks. So that's spectacular. That really feels good. And it really feels like it's integral to my own development, that there's this receiving body of people, and hopefully it's also in some way inspiring other people or helpful in some way, So yeah, that's where I'm at today, is, making commitments, and making long-term commitments that essentially kind of place us in a new paradigm, in a way that we can sort of get our bearings in it, and decide if it's really how we want to live. So I think that's it for me today, people. Love you all. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see you again very soon.